This is my home from home, far from the place where I was born, far from the land where I belong, in this new hometown in Glasgow.
This painting by Nora Nielsen Gray, 1882 to 1931, from Helensburgh but later moved to Glasgow, depicts an elderly refugee from Liège in Belgium. The German army invaded Belgium in August 1914 in the opening days of the First World War, and as a result 250,000 Belgians sought safety in the UK, the largest number of refugees ever to come to Britain. Glasgow Corporation Belgian Refugee Committee was responsible for finding homes for the refugees across Scotland, and many were housed in Glasgow and the surrounding areas. After the war, most of the refugees returned home. Almost 100 years later, Glasgow continues to offer new homes to those who have had to leave their own countries due to war and oppression. The history of large-scale immigration to Scotland goes back to the early 19th century, when Irish people fled the potato famine and settled around the areas where they got off the boats in the west, but also in Dundee and Glasgow and Edinburgh. Then later in the 19th century, thousands of southern Italians escaping poverty also immigrated here, as well as Jewish immigrants from Russia, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia and parts of Eastern Europe escaping from organised massacres and settled in Edinburgh, Glasgow, Dundee and Aberdeen. The stories go on, but let us jump forward to the present day.
"2022 has been designated Scotland's Year of Stories, a year in which stories inspired by, created or written in Scotland will be showcased and celebrated. In their words, Scotland's stories reflect who we are and shape how others see us." We applied for funding to the Museums Galleries Scotland way back in November 2021 under their Community Stories Fund to participate in their Year of Stories programme. The fund is being delivered in partnership between Visit Scotland and Museums Galleries Scotland, or MGS, with support from the National Lottery Heritage Fund. MGS is administering the fund on behalf of the partnership. So we saw this as a great opportunity to share the good work of our school here and the stories of our refugee friends to a wider audience.
My name is Muhammad. I was born in Darfur, Sudan on the 4th of April 1995. I have one brother and three sisters. All of my siblings are married. My deceased father was named Ali, and my mother, he is over 70 years old. I'm married to my wife and we married on October 15. My wife is in Sudan now. We don't have any children. In terms of my health, I'm partially blind 1A, have joint ache, arthritis and piles. I'm currently very stressed and suffer from anxiety. I'm not yet on any medication of any of my health condition as I'm waiting to register with the GP.
In terms of education, I only attended up to primary school. However, I did not complete that. I was discriminated due to being from an African tribe instead of an Arab tribe. From all the teachers and students. Therefore, I did not feel safe or comfortable to attend school for day. I also had to start working to help and support my family. My father used to work in a farm, and it was financially challenging for him to support all us. I started working at another farm when I was very young. I used to work from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. every day. The farm I was working on belonged to a person who was also of African tribe.
I left Sudan in December 2018 and arrived in Libya in January 2019. I left Libya and arrived in Italy in April 2019 and arrived in France in March 2020. I then arrived in the UK in August 2021. My problem began when I joined demonstration in Khartoum, Sudan. The demonstration was held in the December 2018. I was against the Sudanese authorities. I attended with my friends and neighbors. There were many people present that day.
I became aware about the date of the demonstration and its nature via social media initially. I also lived in the Barry area, and that was where the demonstration was taking place. It was on Champat Square, around the afternoon. The demonstration was held very peacefully about our concerns in relation to the authorities' unfair and unreasonable actions, such as lack of equality and freedom.
I've been here in St Aloysius since September, and I've been very much aware of the ESOL classes and all the activity that goes on. People coming regularly to learn English. I suppose one of the things that struck me about the classes is certainly the commitment of the teachers, the volunteers, and the commitment of the students themselves.
It started with maybe about 4 volunteers, Madeline, Margaret, Kathleen, Joe and Thomas, and they had, I think, 1 student on the first day. Second day, 2 or 3. By the time I came, it was 40, 45, and before the pandemic we were up to about 75, which was a bit of a squeeze, you could imagine, in the hall.
The classes have been absolutely fabulously received with parishioners, with everybody, with other organisations that contact the church and want to find out about the classes. And also people have been so generous in donating, whether it be clothes or laptops or PCs, whatever it might be, but we've had such a success.
We now have the booklet, the course, and it covers your vocabulary, your grammar, and some talking and listening. So it covers everything the students need at that group, at that level, at the yellow group level. So anyone really could come in and follow the teacher's book and the course book for the pupils. It's all very straightforward.
On that day, when we were at the demonstration, the army arrived and started surrounding everyone. They then started throwing gas bombs and people started losing consciousness. I was a horrific sense to witness. The army started shooting at people with rubber bottles, and that also caused many injuries and distress. Many people were running, screaming, and losing consciousness. During time, everyone started running. I was trying to escape the aggressive behavior too. However, I was one of the people that were arrested that day. I was hit scar of the left side of my face, corner of my eye, which led to becoming blind in one eye. Thrown to the ground and handcuffed, blindfolded and taken inside some sort of vehicle for around 30 minutes or so. It felt that way.
I was then taken to an unknown place. My face was still bleeding, and someone finally approached me with a needle and thread, stitched the side of my face. I didn't receive any actual medical care. I still suffer from dizzy spells and have also now lost my hearing on the left side too. I am not sure whether these are linked. I was detained at the unknown place for about 7 days in a single cell. I could hear others there, but I couldn't see anyone. The guards, however, were in civilian clothes. There were 2 guards who would always come into my cell and physically and mentally assault me for no reason.
I was fed twice a day only on lentils. The cell was around 1 meter or 2 meters. There was only walls and a large metal door. There provide food through. There was no furnitures. I had to use a bucket for bathroom. The guards would put the water on the floor to make it even more unbearable. The guards would come in the cell in the morning and use powerful cold water hoses over me. It was very distressing to think back about this. I was taken from interrogation every day in the different room. The first time I was taken there, I was asked about my personal details. And when they found out I was from different tribe, I was assaulted.
The interrogation room had a few seats where the guards sat asking me questions, and then another few guards at the doorway. They constantly asked if I was a member of the opposition party. I tried my best to explain that was never the case. However, I was not heard, and they continued the mistreatment. The interrogations continued every day, and nothing was getting better or resolved. I explained that I was only sharing my opinion and that I was not an oppositional member.
The plan actually began with a stage play in collaboration with St Aloysius College, where 12 students, 6 from the college and 6 refugee students from our school, acting out scenes and real life stories about their harrowing journeys from their home countries to Scotland.
The pupils are kind of torn, I guess, because they're preparing for their SQA examinations as well as rehearsing for this.
No worries, it's part of our new culture.
So I suppose this is going to be more of a sharing of work rather than a polished performance. But I think for the asylum seekers, for the refugees who've come to Glasgow, and then for us to work in collaboration with them, I think it's a really lovely project. So it's been lovely.
It's been going quite well actually. It's just kind of this last moment. It's always that kind of rushed rehearsal at the end. But you can see the progress has developed over the past few weeks as well.
I have opportunity to participate in play. It's great for me to practice English and get communicate with people in Glasgow.
It's been good. It's been good to meet new people, and it's been really great to see all the guys every week, and they're all really lovely.
I think it's just a really nice opportunity for us to collaborate, for us to extend our welcome, obviously, as people of Glasgow, but also to just build new relationships. So I think it's been great for the pupils, but also great for everybody involved, all the students down at the Ogilvy Centre who do English as a foreign language, and also for me as a drama teacher. But I mean, I've just been invited to jump on, and it's been great. So we've really enjoyed it.
One of the things I found that the young ones particularly want to learn Glaswegian. So when I used to teach the yellow group and they were just beginning to learn when they started to speak, but I'd always go around the class, you know, say good morning, how are you? I'm fine, I'm well. And then one morning this chap says, I'm no bad. Pure Glaswegian.
Teacher, can you teach us good Scottish? I not understand nothing people say here in Glasgow.
Hello Ahmed, yes, I know what you mean, but you'll get used to it after a while. In this school we will teach you good English, proper English.
Okay teacher, when I meet people in the city who live near me, they say to me something like, how's it going? I don't understand.
Yes, this is slang or vernacular language. They are saying, hello, how are you my friend? Don't worry, you'll soon pick it up. There are many words we use in Glasgow which are not standard English.
Pick it up, what that mean?
It means you will soon learn to understand the way Glasgow people speak.
Teacher, Mr. Martin.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about Glasgow language, please?
Okay, so let's take some common expressions or word like, it's raining heavily. People in Glasgow will often say, it's teemindu. Another one you're likely to hear is when someone asks you which country you're from, they'll say, where do you come from? Now, things like, you're right pal, means, are you okay my friend? Or, alright, means the same. It's pure Baltic, means it's very cold and freezing. By the way means by the way, usually used to introduce a new topic of conversation or at the end of a sentence to emphasize a point, like, my wife's pure stunning by the way. One of my favorites has to be Egypt, means idiot. Like, check that big Egypt over there. Now, there are many Glasgow words or phrases you will learn, but soon won't understand. There's no easy way of teaching them, but you'll soon pick them up.
On the last day, they asked me to report the Sudanese authority once each week and cooperate with them in relation to sharing information about my upcoming demonstrations, or if anyone was present from the opposition party, from the Bertie trip. I was told to do all of this after my release. I was threatened not to tell anyone about the treatment and what had happened. And I was told never to leave Sudan. I was forced to sign a blank piece of paper, and they said if I ever went against any of the conditions, I would be sentenced to life imprisonment and mistreated.
On the 26th December 2018, I was released. I was blindfolded and put in a vehicle which drove for some time before stopping, and I was told to leave. I was dropped near my home. I then went home and told my father about what had happened. My father got really worried and told me that I have to leave Sudan as it is no longer safe for me. My father then made arrangements for me to leave Sudan. I don't know what their agreement was, but my father came home and told me to come with him as he is taking me to the agent who will take me out of Sudan.
My father dropped me at the Libya market where the people smuggler took me away from the city into the desert where a lorry was waiting for me. I was put in the back of the lorry, which was overcrowded, and taken out from Sudan. I fled Sudan in December 2018. The journey took around 7 days and arrived in Libya in January 2019. The journey was very difficult and dangerous as we drove through the desert with very little food and water. We drove for long hours. I arrived in Kafra in Libya and I was taken to warehouse where I was kept. The people smuggler said if you want to go to Italy, I had to pay more money. Since I had no money, the people smuggler told me I can work for him.
I could not work due to the head injury. I asked the agent to contact my father in Sudan, who will pay the money. After a few days, the agent told me the money had been paid and placed me into a dinghy boat which was headed for Italy. I was in the boat for around 4 days and arrived in Italy on the 14th of March 2019. I was rescued by the Italian authorities near the coast of Italy and was fingerprinted. I was given a document which required me to leave Italy within 3 days, and I was left. I was not in good physical health due to my head injury. I found some Sudanese people who were going to France. I did not want to stay alone, so I decided to go with them as I began relying on them.
I suppose one of the things that I think is particularly attractive here is that yes, people come for their classes and they work in small groups, but it isn't just a matter of people coming to the classes and then at the end of the class the teacher goes and the students go. You know, in the middle of the morning there's always a break and there's coffee and tea and refreshments, and people gather together, so volunteers and teachers. So there's a sort of warmth about the thing and a welcome about the thing that has particularly struck me.
I was just already sort of amazed with the number of people coming here. I was like, wow, and I was like, there's so much need in here.
Many of them walk 40 minutes from Easter House, Govan Hill, different areas of the city. And to this end, Kevin put out an appeal for shoes. And one day I got half a dozen pairs. My neighbour upstairs had actually ordered them on Amazon. So people are extremely generous. And the sad thing is they don't have any transport, and they don't have any money for transport, they don't have free tickets. And when I saw on the media that they were going to give free transport to the Ukrainian refugees, I thought, what about the people who've been here already?
Kevin got us involved with Goma, and there were about 14 students came down there, and you discover things about people when they're making and drawing and painting. And there was one interesting story where we were shown around the very modern exhibition in Goma, and there was a little tribal hut in this particular piece, and this particularly tall, well-built young man said that was what his house used to be like. And that was an eye-opener, that little shack was where he came from, because we don't ask. If they volunteer information, great, but he just pointed to it and he says, that's what my house was like, and that was an eye-opener.
One fairly common theme that I've found from a number of refugees is they're very impressed with our government. Now, I know we complain a lot about governments and we complain about politicians, but a number of them have said they are amazed at the fact that in this country the government tries to help you. And that's an interesting thought. Once you get in. But they say, you know, your government actually tries to help you in your life. And that seemed to be a pretty novel experience for them, which maybe gives a very clear indication of why they're here. You know? And maybe it's something that we don't realise and maybe we don't appreciate.
I arrived in France on the foot on 21st of March 2019. I went to Paris and met many people who were living in the streets, who were claiming asylum in France. They told me that the French authorities don't care about refugees, and we have to live on the street. So I decided to go to United Kingdom. I stayed in Calais for around 2 years before I managed to climb into the back of a lorry which was going to the United Kingdom. I arrived in Glasgow, United Kingdom on 24th of August 2021. Once the lorry stopped, I climbed out of the lorry and walked away. I was walking on the highway when the police stopped me. I told them that I went to claim asylum.
The police detained me and I had my screening interview the following day before I was released. I cannot return to Sudan as the authorities will locate me and kill me for breaking the bail condition. It is not possible for me to relocate within Sudan, as I am from the Berti tribe, which is heavily discriminated against. I feel safe in the United Kingdom, as this country has law and order. I am integrating into the society well. I want to obtain permission to stay so I can focus on building my life here and contribute towards the betterment of the society which has supported me through this difficult time.
I can't imagine what it's like and what it would be like if it was me, and I'm overwhelmed by the fact that they are so cheerful, so joyous, and just love what we're doing and so appreciative.
I think, as other people have said, you definitely go out with a smile and you say, what worries have I got? Heavens above, nothing compared to what these people have been through.
I really love interacting with them. I really enjoy it. You get so much back because the first few times you meet them, they might be quite shy and quiet, and then you can see their sense of humour's coming out over a couple of weeks, their own personalities. And they all help each other as well. If you ask them something they don't understand, you know, they might speak in their own language then if there's someone nearby. So they all sort of help each other. So no, I really enjoy that. Get a lot of satisfaction from from helping.
One of the big advantages which the Ukrainian refugees will have, because they're tending to be housed with English-speaking families.
Yes.
Sponsored. The lady who arrived here last week was saying that she is with a family. So she's the only Ukrainian in the situation. So she'll be hearing nothing but English, which will be a terrific help. But as you say, most of our students are going back into a subculture where they're speaking their own language.
They come back here because they see a community, they see they see people who are genuine, people who can help, and then, it's actually the real Glaswegians, as I can see.
I mean, it is very much about helping people practically, helping them to learn English, but it does seem to me to be done in a very human sort of way and a very welcoming sort of way, and that is something that has particularly struck me.
My name is Khalid from Syria. I am an asylum seeker and currently living in Glasgow. I am a doctor of dental medicine by profession, but I also have master's degree in global health. I found life in Glasgow simply mesmerizing, as I haven't yet stopped fascinating not only by the city, but also by the hospitable, modest, and cooperative Glaswegians. Since my introduction to St. Aloysius Church in March 2021, I have been an active recipient of the very diverse support and assistance given by the church, including English language training from very experienced teachers, which single-handedly helped me to improve my language proficiency and also opened me a door to get to know Glaswegians who have the same professional background as mine. To summarize, the project running at St. Aloysius Church have been simply instrumental to better appreciate, understand, and adapt the new life in Glasgow.
Lately we have welcomed around 15 Ukrainian students and expect more to arrive over the coming weeks and months. So we have around 35 active volunteers, many of whom are retired teachers. Every day we receive at least one new student registration, sometimes 4 or 5. So we certainly do not expect to go out of business anytime soon. To finish, in the words of the motto of the Jesuits, ad majorem Dei gloriam, for the greater glory of God.
Many danger miles over lands and seas, to find a new home, to be safe and free, to start a new life on a distant shore, to live in peace and hope once more. This is my home from home, far from the place where I was born, far from the land where I belong. In this new hometown in Glasgow, afraid of danger I had to flee, my family and friends left behind me, and some got lost, such a deathly cost, but there my heart will forever be. This is my home, far from the place where I was born, far from the land where I belong, in this new hometown in Glasgow. And I may return, but who knows when. For now my future's here in Scotland, happy in the city that welcomed me, where I found peace and joy and safety. This is my home from home, far from the place where I was born.